I have some subscriptions kind of thing. Um, so this is basically my Tableau Online environment, which is a proprietary server. It is not at all of free of cost. Okay. So I could log into my Tableau environment, the server administrative environment. It is a blank environment. I don't have anything here. I have to configure everything from the scratch. So first of all, you can see there are 4 different tabs, internal tabs in the content part. There are some basic tabs like content, users, groups, schedules, tasks, status and settings. So I will take you to the description of individual tabs. So let's start from the content. In the content, it is again divided into 4 parts. First one is project, workbook, views and data source. Okay. So starting from the high level, I have a project. This is something like this. So this is my project. This is the dashboard. It is a file. So this is my project. So inside this project, I have multiple dashboards, or multiple workbooks. This we can call it as a workbook also. So individual workbook or individual dashboards. Now in a single workbook we have multiple objects. So one object would contain one view. So this is one object. This is the dashboard. This is one object which contain a view. So this view is order DB view. Okay. So likewise, multiple objects in a dashboard would contain multiple views. So one view also contain multiple single data source or multiple data source. So starting from the top level, hierarchy, we have project or dashboard. Then the next is your basically the slides or the dashboards. I mean the stories we can say, and then the next level is which is a schema or the data model we can say, and then the last one is the data set, which is this one. So in a single view, single object, we can use one data set or multiple. So there are 4 group of content we have in Tableau. So when you deploy the dashboard here, you will have to create one project, and that would be only one project. And then one project will be divided into multiple workbooks. You can also see the individual workbooks here in this workbook section. So how many workbooks we have? 6 basically. 6 workbooks. So it will segregate 6 workbooks and you will be able to see them in this workbook section. And then the views. The number of views we have here will contain there in this view part. And then the data sources. The extract files will be containing here. So content is divided into 4 sections. Alright. Now coming to the next is user. First of all, we have to create a project, then deploy the project here in this project section. Then in order to give the access of this dashboard to any client or any of your colleague or management, you need to create the users who will access this dashboard. So users are again kind of two types. One is a static user we are creating. The second one is user from the Active Directory. So if you see, import from file or import email addresses. So you can create a user email address I can give, and then Tableau Online will give you automatic mail, so that you will be invited to Tableau Online for creating the users. So you have to create a login credential for this particular reference, for this user reference. So once you create the login credential and connect to the dashboard, you'll automatically be authenticated to this dashboard, because I have created the dashboard, the user, which is under my control. And then I can also create list of other users who I can create multiple users, like multiple email addresses I can give, or multiple user detail I can give by just giving their comma separated. So it can be a CSV file where I can have a lot of users and a lot of email IDs, and they all can be bulk invited in the bulk. So now this is all about the user, and then authentication, the user role we have to define here. Then user group. Say for example, we have a small team. Say in a team we have 5 members. Those are developers. One is a database administrator. One is a publisher who will be acting like a administrator, who will be publishing the dashboard to Tableau, and another person would be the management. So management will not change anything. He will basically see the dashboard, see the filters, he will do the slicing and dicing, but he will not have the option to edit the dashboard, to delete the dashboard, to publish the dashboard. And another user we will have, the client or the customer or agent. So we will give some authentication to them. That means they can only see the dashboard. They cannot do the slicing and dicing. That means the filters which you have in the dashboards, the filters will not be available to him, so that they cannot do any slicing, dicing. They cannot download the data of the dashboard. Uh, they cannot download the worksheet. All those restrictions we will apply to those agents, because they are third party. So we will give them the limited options. So these many kind of authorizations or roles are here. Now I will create a user first. I'm going to give your email ID so that you will be automatically be referred. Share me your email ID in the chat, please.
1 second.
Make it correct so that you will be invited, and you have to collaboratively work in the dashboard. You can directly connect to the Tableau dashboard. So I'm going to invite you. So as an admin, I don't have to create the credential like user ID and password. I will simply invite you guys. So that you just copy it here, paste, and then I will, at the time of invitation, where I am going to send you, I have to also authorize your role, that this particular user will have what access in my dashboard. So there are various roles in this dashboard. One is a site administrator, one is a publisher, one is interactor, viewer, and unlicensed viewer can publish. So all the stuffs. If you want to make another person as an admin, then I'll choose as a site administrator so that he can control everything. He can also create another user. He can publish the dashboard and everything. If I'll make you the publisher, it is just a kind of a developer who will develop the dashboard and publish the dashboard. Okay. They have to also publish the dashboard to server so they can publish it. Interactor are basically the management, your board or internal reviewer of your dashboard who do not have the privilege to delete the dashboard, edit the dashboard, but yes, they can do something like they can do slicing and dicing. The filters of the dashboard will be available to them. They can do filtration. They can download the data of your dashboard. They can download the PDF screenshot of your dashboard. They can even download the dashboard file from the Tableau Online. So this is what the interactor is. Now viewer are basically the third parties or clients to whom we will give the limited access. Like they will see the dashboard, they can do everything. I mean, they can see take analysis, but they cannot do filtration. Filters which is there, we have like legends, filters, sliders. They will not be available to the viewers. Okay. So broadly, these are the type of users we have. Rest are very rare, very often not often used. So now I'm going to make you as a say interactive. You cannot publish the dashboard, but you can download the dashboard. You can do everything. Okay. So add user. Likewise, I can also create multiple users by giving the comma. I'll have to give the email address of all those users. At a time, I can create for users by giving the comma. Okay, now you'll be receiving an email. Just go on, connect to the Tableau dashboard. So now you can see here, I referred you. I just created a user, but you need to log into the dashboard. So the password you have to create by yourself. Now here, once you log in, how would I know that the user has logged into the dashboard? I will be able to see the last sign-in time as well as your display name would be showing here. Instead of this email ID, I'll be able to see your display name. Which is the first name as last name you will define there, it would be populated here. So now go ahead and complete that registration. Please. Once you complete, just confirm.
Hello?
Yeah,
Okay.
you done with it?
Here you about.
Yeah. So your display name is showing here. That means you have completed the registration. Now you can log into the dashboard, log into the Tableau Online. So your last login time will be showing here. Now user ID is created and your role is basically interactor. So likewise, I will create say 100 users. Now to every user I cannot create and I cannot define the roles. So I have to create some user groups. Like I will create one user group that is finance, another user group I will create board of directors, So basically I will give them this particular group, I will give the access. I don't have to basically create the individual users. If there would be 100 or 200 users, I cannot create individual users and I cannot define the roles to them. I have to add the groups, and in the group I'll have to select and define the role. Okay, let's go inside. So in this group you can add and define the role here. Rename, yes. Option. No group. Okay, group will be created here when I'll just create a project. I will, instead of adding individual users, I will add individual groups, and there I'll have to define the authentication. I'll tell you. So far we created the groups. Schedule is basically there are various time. Almost all the times in a day is there. So it is a kind of alarm. Alarm in your mobile, the way we have. You can save the alarm for every day in the week. This is become a schedule. So every morning at 6 o'clock the alarm will be buzz, and then you have to wake up. So every day you don't have to create the new alarms. You can create your alarm and you can save it, and you define the dates on which your alarm will be ringing. Saturday, Sunday, on weekends you don't want your alarm to be ring, so you have not defined the dates. But in every weekday you have defined your alarm should be ringed on 6:30 in the morning. So this is what we call as the schedule of the alarm. So the same way we have here the schedules, on which days, on daily basis, on weekly basis, we have on weekly basis, even hourly basis. If you want your dashboard to be act like a live dashboard, you can define it as hourly basis. Every hour it would be, or every 30 minutes it will be loading. Monthly basis, some data are there, like um, targets, target data. So targets are defined to some vendors or some customers. So in that case, those jobs will be running on the monthly basis. Some are weekly basis. So there are mostly all the times are there. Now this is all this the refresh data. So it will refresh your data model and dashboard. Now you can define, choose this. This is, you don't have to create the schedule. Basically the schedules are already there. You cannot create, you can just run it. Okay, so this is how the process is defined to forcefully run your server schedule. So sometimes what happens, due to network connectivity failure, your Tableau dashboard would not get connected with your database, so that the dashboard could not load the latest data. As a result, your job will fail. So if the job will fail, somehow you are getting the differences, and you're coming here as an administrator and running this job forcefully after 1 hour. So that thing you can do it. You have to choose this and run it here. So if you are running it, what activity it will perform? It is running but doing nothing. So the activities are the task. Schedule will be running, but after running, what activity it will perform? It will perform the activity which you have to define here. The task. The task is to refresh my database and to refresh my workbook. It will refresh two things. One is your extract file, second is your workbook. First it will refresh the data source extract file, and second it will refresh the workbook. If it will refresh the alternative, like first workbook and second data source, you will not get the latest data, because data would be there in the data source, but workbook will show the old data. So when workbook will be loaded, it will be loaded the data from the extract file, and when extract would be loaded, it will load the data from the what? Database. Am I make sense?
Yeah, I got.
I think you're confused.
Yeah, I was little bit confused about that.
A little bit confused. Okay, all right. Very honest. So say I have here we have a database, SQL Server database server, and this is my database server. Now this is my extract file, which is also acting as a view in Tableau, and this is my dashboard. This is also called as a workbook. Okay. Now every morning when you refresh, what happens first time? This is database. In database, the transaction is happening every day. So the latest data from the database has to come here to extract. Okay. Now then extract is now loaded with the latest data. So it is the offline data source of Tableau which contain now the latest data as per the database. Now if you do not reload the dashboard, then dashboard will not get the latest data from the data source. I am loading the data from the data extract file to dashboard. Okay. So this is has to be the first process, this is second process. But if you do the reverse way, like if you first reload your dashboard, the second, if you first reload this one dashboard, then it will get the data from this extract file, which will be the 1 day old. Now then if you reload this one, then it will get the data from the database, which is current data. But in that case, a dashboard will be showing the yesterday's data. So the process is to load the first data extract file where it will contain the latest data, then you load the data from the extract file to dashboard. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, now I understand that.
So this is how the reloading operation will be happening. Now status. It is basically showing the insight of your dashboard where you can see the traffics of your data traffic or your projects, like how many users are accessing, if your job is failed, what was the reason, how many what is the bandwidth of your data cell sources. So you don't have to do anything here, you can see a lot of reports here. So it will be done once your project is reloaded, added to this. And then setting, you can change the logo of your company here. You can do some operations like select the file, and I'm going to select the logo. Say this is my company logo. Now save it. So instead of Tableau, it would be able to, it would show your company logo. Okay. So if you're working in TCS, it will show the TCS, and it will make more sense that you have created your own portal. Now it's time to create a project. So before you deploy the dashboard to Tableau Online, you have to create a project in the Tableau Online site. Okay, here. So the project name I will define like POS dashboard. I will create the project name here. Great. So the project will be created. There is no workbook, there is no view, there is no data source. You have to give the permission to project. Okay. First of all, how the permission would be given? The permission would be given on the uh, not all user will access this dashboard. I have few groups of user and I have few individual users. I can define those users will be seeing my dashboard. Okay. So now I can edit this one. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, here you have to give the access to the user. Whichever the user will be accessing here, you have to define here. Add user or a group. So already we have a user and already we have a group. So if you have 5 groups, you can add groups there. So here basically you can add a group. So I have these groups. So in this group there is no user. I can delete it. So I will just bring you to the group of here board of director. I will bring you in the board of director. Okay. So add user. I have already one user Thomas ready. So I will just add user. I don't have to create this user. I'll just bring all those users those are created to this group. Now one user is there and its group is this. So I'll have to go to the project which I created and you have to give the permission. Otherwise you cannot log in and you cannot see this dashboard because there is no permission set to this user. So far you've not given any permission. So I have to select the board of director here. I don't know what users are there in this group, but when I'm selecting this board of director group, so I can see this particular user which is there in this group. So it's better to create the users and add those users into the different groups. So when you are giving a permission to multiple users, it may be 500 users. You're least bothered about that how many users will see this dashboard. You'll simply add the group to this particular dashboard authentication, and then on the group you can define the permission to those all the users. Now I've added this group and I will give the permission here whether he will be a publisher or a viewer or anything. So as long as it is none, you would not be able to access this dashboard. As long as it is denied, you will not be able to access. So I'll just give, if it is project leader, you can be act as a interactor and publisher. If it is only publisher, you can act as a publisher. You can publish it. So on the project level, you can publish the project. On the workbook level, you can edit the workbook. That means you are acting as a developer. If you make it interactor, you cannot edit the group. I'm making as an interactor, say, being a board of director. So on project level, they will be viewer. They can view the project. In workbook, they can interact the workbooks. And in data source, they are the editor of the data source. They can or connector of the data source. That means they can connect to the data and they can see the dashboard. So these operations I have selected. Save it. Likewise, I will add another group, finance user. There is no user here in this group, so delete this. I can also add an individual user. Add all users. So here I have these two users in this group. I have to anyway add this user to this group, and then only I can configure. Okay, so I have added. Now it's time to close this. So I have given the permission to you to see this dashboard as an interactor. Okay, user is created, group is created, and schedule. Here how to define the schedule on this project, how this project would be scheduled. This project repository is blank now, so at the time of deployment I can schedule the task of this project here, so that the project would be scheduled and the data will be automatically reloaded. Okay, so now it's time to deploy the dashboard to the Tableau online here. So go to server, again you have to do sign in. This time it would not be public.tableau.com, it would be Tableau Online. So in the Tableau Online case, I don't have to write the URL basically here. The URL is automatically predefined, and I have to give the username and password. Just remember and sign in. Okay. So I could connect to the Tableau server now. So here it is, Tableau Online interface. You'll be able to see. You see my name here. Tableau Trainer you will be getting. Yeah. Tableau Trainer. I can see my name. I can also see other users and other groups. Okay. So I can see the entire user groups here, number of users and their groups. If I select Thomas Reddy as a user, I cannot be able to publish the dashboard because I didn't select you as a publisher. If I choose this, then I will be a publisher now. So though I am administrator, I can connect to any user also. Though I join as an administrator to this Tableau Online, I can choose you, I can choose finance, I can choose board of director. But if you log in as Thomas Reddy, you will not be able to see all the users and you will not be able to see and choose other users. You have to choose only yourself. Administrator has full privilege, so I can do anything. So now it's time to publish the dashboard. Here the publishing operation is not as easy as Tableau Online, Tableau Public. So go to Publish Workbook. You'll see a few more steps here. You need to take care of these steps to make it live. Now it's popping up a window which is not available in the Tableau Online. Here there are many things you can do. So the project which is showing here, in which project or in which repository you will be dropping your workbook or you will be publishing your workbook. So I have all the listed projects which I created in the server side. The default is the by default one, and this is what I have created, POC dashboard. I have to choose this one. Then name of my dashboard which is there in the local, I can also change the workbook name. So I can name it as same as POC, point of sale dashboard. I'll just remove the underscores. Okay, you can name it anything, but here you cannot change the name, because if you want to change the name you have to log into the server in the online portal, administrative portal, and there you can change the name. Here you can only choose. Now this name is basically the name of your worksheet which will be renamed and uploaded. Description is not mandatory. Tag, basically if you want to make it issue compatible, and you can define some tags like POC dashboard, my sales dashboard, anything you can define. Then sheets. If you want to deploy all the sheets, then you can choose all, and if you want to deploy few sheets only, you can choose few. Like these 3 sheets will be deployed and these 3 will not be. So you'll be able to see few. So however, I'm selecting all. So along with the stories, it will be deployed. If I will choose only dashboards, that means this particular dashboard will be deployed because it is the open dashboard. It is not wrapped with any story. So I will choose the story as well as the dashboards. Okay. I will not choose this one. Set analysis dashboard I will not deploy. However, up to this I will deploy. Okay. I can define this. 5 dashboard from the 6 selected list will be going to be deployed. Now permission. Here what permission you can give. Here also at the time of deployment you can, if you do not give any permission, that means the same level of permission which is applied on the server side will be given. Or if you want to give the separate permission to this user, like board of director, like this trainer, you can define permissions. To this group particularly, you can edit the permission here. So like you can select this group, and instead of interactor you can make it editor. That means everything you can do, allow everything. You can move the dashboard, delete the dashboard, share the dashboard, download the data of the dashboard, everything you can do, editor. If you want to make it interactor, that means you can slicing and dicing, filtration, all these stuffs, edit the dashboard, but you cannot save the dashboard. Even if you are editing, the save will not work, so that means no editing will be effective. You cannot download the dashboard data, you cannot move, delete, share permission to the dashboard. So this is pretty good. This is not dangerous. Now viewer you have very limited permission, that means filtering operation would not be there. As I said, you can see data, you can download the PDFs, you cannot download the dashboard or source code file, you cannot filter it out. So the only thing you can see what it is given to you. You cannot make it slicing and dicing. So here also at the time of deployment you can change it. So I'm making you interactive. Now apply and okay. Now me as an admin, I'll be accessible to all the dashboard. I just given you the permission, or even if you are given the permission earlier in the admin level, at the time of deployment, being admin here, I can change your permissions. Though I've given there, but being an admin, I log in here, so I can change you as an editor. Okay, so I'm just going to change you as an editor here. So all this user to this group will be the editor, so they can do everything. Now permission is set. Data sources. How many data sources are there? All the data sources are there, and they are going to be embedded in the workbook. There are two things: embedded and publish separately. If you just publish separately, you can see the data source and you can use this data source. You can reuse this data source in some other dashboards. But if you embed it, the dashboard data will be embedded inside the Tableau. It cannot be accessed to other dashboards. So I'm just going to make it publish separately. So we will see all those separate data sources in the data source folder of the Tableau server. So publish separately would be the good option. So what will happen if you want to use this data in some other dashboards? So you don't have to repeatedly deploy these data sources to server. One data source will be there. This will be reloading every time, and from these data sources there will be 5 separate dashboards which will be accessing the data from this dashboard. Am I make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Now this is again order database, which is the SQL Server database. So publish separately again, and refresh is not enabled. You can choose allow refresh access. Okay. So I am allowing this all data sets to be refreshed separately. So I choose them. Now publish operation I have choose, then sort tabs sheets as a tabs. If you do not choose this option, your dashboard, one dashboard will be shown, but other dashboards will not be shown as a tabs. So this has to be checked. So selection, if you are selecting anything, this tab will be highlighted, this button will be highlighted, that would be shown. Include external files like images or Excel files if it has, then it can be included. So uh, I can go on now, publish it. Publish workbook and hide data sources. If you do not change it here, if you just make it embedded, then the data sources would not be separated. So I am making it separated so that I will extract them separately. And this is one data set which is showing me the enter the password, because it is SQL Server database. So order DB is a SQL Server database. In order to deploy it, it is showing for the authentication, it has to be added here. The password I have added, so now it's going to be deployed. It will take a little time, and you see the dashboard data will be there with me. Now, though I published, you can log into the Tableau Online and then try to see whether you got into the dashboard or not, whether you are able to see the dashboard or not. Try logging to your dashboard to Tableau Online with the username and password you created. Very initially, it is taking this much of time because we are deploying the dashboard and data set separately. But in the next time, it will not deploy because it will not take this much of time, because the it would take the data iteratively. The newly added informations only be deployed. Some of my data sources are also having huge set of data. Now it is done. So you can see in my Tableau Online, my dashboard will be visible here. So now I can just connect it to the server. So in the server side, once I connect it, it is prompting me to publish complete. So to complete the publishing. So if you simply make it done, that means the dashboard will be deployed, but lifelong it would be static. I mean, make sense? So it will be static. So dashboard will be deployed, but you need to schedule the dashboard data and this dashboard, which is point of sale dashboard, that need to be publishing. I mean, it has to be scheduled for refresh. Every day it has to be refreshed. So you can schedule. You can schedule here for refreshing. Just go for scheduling. Don't ever try to make it done. So you can separately schedule individual data sets here. Daily basis, hourly basis, on which schedule you can define. I am scheduling it as a daily basis. I am choosing it as daily basis. And set a schedule. So I've choose on, these are the frequency, the thresholds I have defined. Now I'm going to set the schedule.
Hello.
Yes, I'm just gone on mute because it's schedule is creating. So dashboards are deployed. I'm just creating the schedule on which this task is performed. It would be reloaded. Okay. It will take little time because there are five data sets, and very first time it is the schedule is creating. So there will be five schedule will be created. So it will take few more time, I suppose. So this way, the schedule will be created, and then you can see the dashboard. As you have the credential, after some time, I'll be just quitting for the session. After some time, once it will be completed, you can try after 10-15 minutes in your laptop to log into the dashboard, and you can see the dashboard from the content part. Okay, and you can also
Okay.
see every day that how the dashboard is repeating. You can go to the task and you
Mm-hmm.
can explore it. So now you have the access to the your server. You can go inside the task, you can go inside the project and try to see the process. If you want, and I can also make you the administrator, so that you can go and explore inside this and you can play with the features. Okay, I'll
Okay.
take your role as administrator. So whatever it is been explained today, this is how much we have here with this server. It's not so huge. So these are the few things we need to create and we need to configure while deploying the dashboard. So you can go on more deeper and you can just test and play with those features. Okay. So
Okay.
go with those videos, and if at all you want some refresher classes, or then if you want some repeat doubt clearing classes, you can then contact and we'll go for some doubt clearing classes also.
Okay.
Sure. Okay then. Bye bye. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.